Whoa. Look back into my barrier. Oh, man, that's fun. That's fun. I hope you're doing well where you're at. If you're watching, if you're getting the live stream, let's see here. YouTube all connected up. Just checking things out. Got it. Yeah, there we go. Got good audio. Got a good connection. I like it. I like it. I like you. Hope you're doing well. Um, I gotta get things set up here because there was a lot of work that came in. I want to make sure that we're addressing all of it. I see Charlie in the room. I see Bryn in the room. Heather's been here as well. Fonzo making an appearance. Always good to see different people. If you're wondering what room I'm talking about, we have a Discord channel. If you were interested in participating in New Pragmatic, joining the community, we have an open forum where we have a. I'm always sharing links to different resources. Eve's been recently dropping stuff in there. I see Heather drop some stuff in there as well. Anyway, the Discord channel, you can get it to that over at newpragmatic.com. Feel free to sign on up. We do these live streams almost every day. Basically, anytime somebody submits some work that we can review, we go ahead and jump in and do the stream. So that always feels good. Today, we've got a number of different things to look at. Bryn is in. She's submitted her user interviews before we do that, we ought to get the show started because this live stream, I do repackage it later in the day as a feedback loop, just for recorded purposes, so things are indexed and you can always tell kind of what happened where. So let's go ahead and get this underway. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatics. Time for the feedback loop. So good to have you along. We've got Bryn, Abraham, and Heather in here today, all submitting works, different areas of the program. Actually, Abraham is just getting feedback on a dashboard that he's working on, which I always like seeing what people are doing. Not everybody here is a student. There are many professionals that reach out. I'm going to see Tejal a little later today. And also meeting with Bryn. So, we do review of work here. We also do mentorship as well. If you're interested in that, newpragmatic.com/mentorship is the link that you want to go to. And do me a favor. If you like the feedback loop, if you like what you're getting here, smash that like button. That would certainly help. And if you're wanting to know when we go live, hit that subscribe notification or hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get this underway. All right, we're going to start here because it's up on the screen right now. This is Abraham's dashboard. And Abraham is, he's got a nice card-based dashboard. The navigation's clear, top down. Looks like this is relatively recently. He was working on this recently. So we've got patients, interactions, stages, scheduled, and then we've got these activity charts. And the thing that Abraham was trying to do here, I need to move that because it's not really underlined like that. That's Figma doing its thing. He's wondering about color usage, and right now, like for selections, he seems to be using this orange for the selection. So I can see like item A here, whatever that category would be, that's selected, and then day is selected over here. So that's pretty clear. And then he's using blue to identify the value that is part of the chart. The overall value is in gray, but the value present is in blue. So I totally get that. As we jump down to the other version, here everything is in orange, and I will agree. Abraham, you had mentioned in your note that you felt like the orange was overpowering, and I would agree with that. I think that the good thing about blue is it's not just a subtler, deeper color. It kind of recedes back. Orange jumps ahead because it's a warm color. But the blue also is a complement to the orange. So I think it works really well with that. There, you do have little hints of green in here. Was that there before? Yeah, that was there before as well. I just didn't know. I didn't notice it as much because I think because it's so close to the blue. It like the blue just it works a little better with your scheme. And then let's look down here. And then you also have this black, um, you know, or I guess it's dark gray. I don't mind the dark gray either. Um, I do think that you can go ahead and just kill this one, mainly because when I look at this, I think about the usage of the color orange, and the color orange says I've selected something. So then using it here, I don't think really works. So I think just from a pure what does the color represent in the interface, I'd walk away from using the orange in those bars. So really for me, it's either the blue or the black. Um, for me, some of this comes down to the fact that um, it looks just kind of like lines right now. I worry that it just seems harder to read. Like is there data present there? And right for me, this is the better solution. This is representing data. This is representing selections. Here you're indicating direction, overall direction. I'm guessing this would be red if it went the other way. I think this is just the stronger of the mix. So like first place, second place, distant third. Um, you know, I could make an argument if you said, well, we don't want to add blue to the palette. Okay, well then this. But if you've got blue already in the palette, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't go this direction. All right, that's just my 2 cents. Let's go over, and you can see this is people submitting work into the feedback loop. We'll go ahead and mark that one as cleared. And let's go take a look at Bryn's user interviews for a second. Actually, you know what? Let's stop here. Here is Heather and I were kind of working offline yesterday on her. Lost my train of thought. I'll start that over. All right. So Heather and I were working on her user stories, and the particular project that she's working on isn't so important as is the overall approach to user stories. What you're always looking for when you're creating your user stories is really 2 things. One, have I written the user story in a granular fashion? Like, does it feel like a single step? And is it actionable? And by action, is there something I can do in the interface that to reach my goal? Okay, so that's one side of the coin. The second side of the coin, we'll get into in just a second. But when we read these statements, I want to play music with other people in person. That is more of a goal than it is a task. So as an interface designer, I'm trying to meet the goals that were set up, and really when you're doing user stories, they're grounded in your research and your personas, and now you're trying to write these user stories to help that persona solve a problem or alleviate a frustration or reach a goal. These are right now in, I want to see my friends. I want to engage. I want more engaging lesson plans that are more than the teacher. And I can't see the rest of that one. I want to get outside and do physical activity. All right, those are goals, by and large. They are steering, though. They're statements that help you see where you're trying to go. But what I did was I basically started, if we'll come over to this other tab, I basically started this out and said, okay, we've identified that that's a high school student. they want to play music with other people in person, so the band can be easier. We're talking about pandemic type stuff. So to play music with other people in person, I need to think about what are the things that must be present for me to be able to do that activity. What has to happen for me to go play music with other people in person? Well, all right. So the first thing I need to do is I need to be able to sign up to participate, because I've got to probably claim my spot, or I've got to pick a time, or I've got to do something. But the first thing I've got to do is I've probably got to sign up. The second thing I needed to do was or something I would like to do is I'd like to see who else is signed up. Are there people that are going to be there that I'm not interested in playing with, or is my best friend going to be there? So I'm trying to think about the user and their mentality, particularly for a high school student. What would they want out of this experience? They want to be able to sign up, obviously. They want to see who else is there. And this is where later on you'll get into this. Is that a requirement for the V1 of this, or is that a requirement or is that something that can wait? And that ability to see who else is signed up, that might be something that waits. But the ability to actually sign up, that's just a baseline requirement. That's got to go. Okay? So I want to see a list of when the sessions are. That makes sense, because I've signed up. I don't know when it is. How do I even show up? I want to see where the session is. So, and the idea here is that Heather is working around is people are wanting to schedule band practice outside because of the pandemic. They can't gather in indoor spaces, so they want it to be able to gather in parks. Okay, which park and when, and what is the capacity rules? And there are all these things that you need to sort out. So I need to see a list of the sessions. I need to see a list of where the sessions are. I need to know how long the session is. Do I need the entire day? Do I need 90 minutes? I want to see a weather forecast. I don't want to sign up for a day where it looks like it might rain. I want to know what music we are playing, because you're playing with other people. It'd be helpful not to learn the song when you get there. I want to know if there are transportation options. Again, we're getting now into this area of that's a nice to have, but not an absolute requirement. I want to know who's leading the session. Maybe I don't like that teacher. I want the ability to leave and receive feedback. So these are all things from the student's perspective. But a while ago I talked about there being two sides to that coin. And the second side of the coin is, for this user story to exist, is there something else that needs to happen elsewhere? And the first one that I have here is from the band teacher. I need the ability to create or add a session. And it should be like to create/add a session. Date and times. So if I'm the high school student and I want to sign up for this thing, somebody has to say this is something that you can sign up for. Okay? So this is really a two-sided economy. And two-sided economies, they're plentiful. Think of eBay, for instance. If I say I want to sell things online, that's great. But I also need people who are wanting to buy things online for me to be able to sell things online. So you need to think about these things in two-sided economies. So I need to see who has signed up. I need a way to push notifications. So for the band teacher, they need to be able to communicate and say, band practice has changed. We're going to be meeting at 4 o'clock and not 3 o'clock. Maybe there's been a conflict, or maybe there's a parade going through town. I don't know. It is a pandemic, so hopefully not. And at least it was a pandemic. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, maybe your area's got the vaccine and all that stuff. But with regard to this, that two-sided economy doesn't mean that everything has to be a one-to-one. The band teacher has a unique need to push out notifications to everybody. We don't necessarily want to give that to the student, because you don't need notifications from everybody in the class. I need a way to see the entire schedule. Now that could be something for both people, actually. I need to be able to message students individually. That could be also for the other side. I need the ability to attach or display music being played. That's something very unique to the band teacher, okay? Because the high school student doesn't necessarily need that piece. But overall, and I need to see a list of available locations. I don't want to book a session for a place that's already booked. And this gets into you can begin to see the interface take form when you begin to break things down into these individual pieces. Where in the original story, I want to play music, or the original user story, I want to play music with other people in person. That's just not granular enough to grab a hold of. So we break this down further and further and further to the point that you can begin to see the interface coming together. Now, there are some that doesn't mean that it's just the high school student and the band teacher. There's also this administrator role. And the administrator is very interesting because they have different concerns. For instance, do I want everybody in the community to see the activities that are related to school? And the answer there is no. So I probably need to limit signups to only people who have emails that are issued by the district. So like if you're in, so for Heather, Berkeley, I think, so berkeleyschools.edu. You have to have a berkeleyschools.edu address to sign up for this course, or to sign up for one of these sessions. The ability to, and the other thing that we were working through here is the ability to apply capacity limits. Capacity limits are very important because you don't want overcapacity, particularly in a pandemic situation. And an administrator is going to be more keenly aware and keeping up with those criteria than a band teacher or a high school student are. So think about the administrator as somebody who's saying, okay, in the system there are certain rules and I'm going to set them to make sure people downstream don't begin to bend them. Now, does that mean that a high school student who couldn't tell 20 of their friends to show up to the band practice? No, but the system should be taking and trying to make as many accommodations as possible to keep things flowing smoothly. So that is just a brief overview of user stories. I thought it was helpful to take a moment to walk through that because I see a lot of students in this situation the first time that they write user stories. They're writing very, in terms of, we refer to these things as epics. And so often in an epic, you're just trying to get the general idea, but when you're writing user stories that actually function, they tend to have a very granular feel, and there is an action to them. I need to sign up. I need to see. I want to see a list. I want to know. I want to have the ability to. I need to create. And in this case, there's a lot of see. There's a lot of view. There's a lot of know. So there's certain aspects that this is basically communication. So if you know anything about communication, you can apply that and ask yourself, okay, to do said thing, what would I need to be present? And then you begin to unpack your user stories from there. So I hope that's been helpful. Be sure to ping me if you have any questions about how to get your user stories more actionable and more granular. Okay, so that said, let's jump over here to Bryn. And I'm going to meet with Bryn a little later on her user interviews. Because we're going to be working on her affinity map. One interesting thing about the user interviews that Bryn had, so she's got this interview guide that we were working on. It's this rough outline of what you're going to do when you talk to the person. You're going to ask them particular questions. You're going to warm them up, get them talking. You're going to start by giving them a background of what they're about to do. Then you've got your warm-up questions. Then you've got the actual questions that you're wanting to specifically talk to each of them through. And then you want to make sure you wrap things up. But having this outline of, okay, what am I going to talk to this person about, gives you the opportunity to basically form a base to work from as you're moving through the process of doing a user interview. And I mention that because Bryn found herself in a uniquely, I don't want to say troubled situation, but it was a situation where she wasn't in the same spot for both calls. And that meant that she had to change on the fly how she was conducting the interview. And I can only imagine how that would have went if she didn't have this framework previously decided. Because while, here we're looking at, this is the interview that occurred when everything was set up the way that she wanted it to go. So we have Kayla here and in the Austin area and asking about shopping habits, and here are the interview questions, and how are you evaluating meals, and all of these very specific aspects of the interview. Now we come over here to Maggie, and you'll notice that this has changed, but it's changed ever so slightly. The only thing that I see that's really changed, like she's asking about shopping habits before the pandemic, curbside pickup, food culture, dietary preferences, meal subscriptions in the past, discouraging factors. Let's compare that to the actual interview notes. So I hear persuaded you to sign up, research process. I'm not seeing the research product question, like how the product worked, pricing, FAQ. Dietary type is in here. Choosing the recipes, narrowing down your options, learning about products. So I'm comparing that to here. What other factors did you consider? Ingredients delivered or cooking at home. Like, I'm seeing a lot of corollaries, but without this guide to basically put some boundaries on what's being asked, I really worry that the second interview would have just like gone off the rails, because it's very hard when you get thrown off, like, oh gosh, I've got to change desks, or I can't meet in this meeting room. Like, there's always something that comes up that can throw you for a loop right before an important moment. That's why it's important to always like get to where you need to be 10, 15 minutes ahead of time. Make sure the conference room that you've booked, or make sure your workspace is clear and it's quiet. You don't have somebody, have a barking dog or yelling kid in the background. Not that I'm against barking dogs or kids, but I'm just saying professionalism. Like, make sure that it's not loud, like the TV is not blaring in the background, those sorts of things. So that said, when you do get thrown off, this interview guide is the thing that will steady the boat, okay? Because without it, the boat's going to rock a lot, all right? And you're going to get thrown off. And I think that overall you've done a good job, Bryn. But I really think that what allowed you to do a good job, even though the situation changed dramatically, was the fact that you had the guide. Without the guide, I'm not so sure this works very well. And without the guide, my big worry is like there's nothing to stabilize between the interview that went well, because it could have went in any direction, and then the interview that, I won't say it didn't go well, but it wasn't the ideal environment to conduct the interview in. Okay, I think that's fair. So again, it comes back to guide. And if there's anything that you take away from this professionally, Bryn, it's okay. Got interviews coming up. I need to write that guide because I need to think through what I'm going to be asking. And basically, I need to prune my thoughts. Like, there's certain things that you don't necessarily need to ask. Pull those things out. Put in more impactful questions, and then you're ready to roll regardless of what the situation gives you. All right? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. Thank you so much for riding along. Know that we're doing a few things here. So we've got Portfolio Potluck coming up. I've blasted some things out on social media. If you're part of the Discord channel, you can drop your portfolio in there. If you're over on Twitter, I'm at DesignHog on Twitter. Feel free to drop a portfolio link on my profile. I'm be happy to pull you in for that live stream. Also, I'm going to be doing some work with Twitter Spaces, so keep an eye out for that. We're going to have some fireside chats, if you will, just out in the public. We can also do that in Discord, but there's a broader community out there on Twitter, so I'll probably see you out there. And then finally, look out for Design Along. I'm releasing these new tutorials where I'm giving you the assets and I'm showing you how that I would go about creating the asset that I'm showing you so that you can then recreate it for yourself. All right, and then finally, if you're looking for mentorship, listen to my friends over at newpragmatic.com. They have everything that you need to hear about working with me. All right, folks, I'll chat with you later. See ya.